Fnatic. Game 1.
Hello everybody and welcome back inside Key Arena. It's ready and time for some Dota. It's Alliance versus Fnatic. I'm back here with the draft panel, my experts. I got Draskell, Black, and Winter back by my side. Gentlemen, we have a draft underway. I know that all of these games are incredibly hard to predict, but please, Draskell, early impressions about Alliance versus Fnatic here.
Well, I like the opening that Alliance have gone for. I mean, we saw that Fnatic took out the IO. Obviously, you don't want to let Alliance get that. They take Ogre, which they were first picking in both games they played in the series yesterday as well. So they obviously are trying to take him a little bit out of their comfort zone. But I'm happy to see the opening of the Mirana Dro. It's just really strong, stable. I feel like in their lineups yesterday, they were doing very well. It's just it was more of an execution thing for me. I didn't feel like it was a draft problem. So I'm going to say Alliance, but like maybe like 55-45.
Fair enough. You guys agree with that?
Well, I do agree that Ogre is one of the very, very important heroes that Alliance likes to run because they always play very slow pace. They need IO, Ogre, heroes like this to support the early game, to run around, to pressure the enemy so that their greed doesn't get punished. So I do agree with the bans that Fnatic have gone for this game.
But at the same time, I also really agree with the Alliance bans because Fnatic, their recipe for success is always pressuring that offlane, and when you don't have Bad or Darkseer, it's actually really hard. Like Slaughter doesn't offer what Darkseer or Bad Rider offers. And in that context, like Alliance would just have a very easy safe lane in this game.
But the panel also spoke about the way that Fnatic want to play, and Winter probably knows more than either of us because he obviously has a lot of experience with the team. But I mean, I'm thinking that they're going to play very fast-paced Dota.
Fnatic as well. Come on.
True, yeah, true. But you know, you've known them for like your entire life.
Yeah, years.
So I think personally
Not true. Years. Not entire life. Draskell.
All right, semantics, whatever. It's fine.
So second phase of bans, Fnatic get rid of the greatest hero in the game, of course, Coddle. Beastmaster also has to go. Alliance take out TA, and now we await the next pick. But for now, Fnatic, Alliance get a couple of, I guess you could say, comfort picks, ones that they found success with before, Fnatic being the Bounty Hunter, and Alliance now saying we are going to ramp things up with the Throw Ranger. We never know Alliance, though, to put like what we saw from OG yesterday with like a Drow Medusa, you know, at that early game pressure with a little bit of that late game potential. Do you just anticipate Alliance are just going to be doing what they did in their previous series, just go, go, go?
I mean, Draw Mirana is very, very strong late game as well. We saw, like, I think in the Wings game where they had both heroes had Maelstrom in the late game. They dealt so much damage with the Aghanim's from both heroes. I don't think it's something that you could underestimate. And you compare it to Medusa. I think these two heroes also have very strong late game with when you compare it to Medusa. Like, but Fnatic right now, and back for Shadow Demon.
It's really good, I think. I mean, it's to me, I think it's more of a denial from Alliance.
I was expecting something like a disruptor for pickoff because they had Bounty and Slaughter. They have a lot of chasing power, and I think, in my opinion, that works better with disruptor. But Shadow Demon, like you said, still a very, very strong hero. Their current setup is they're going to run at you, they're going to track you, they're going to run you down. They have Roshan with the Slaughter. They're just going to play a very fast-paced game, like typical Fnatic style. They're going to win the lanes and just run at you.
Have we ever seen Alliance put EGM on Mirana and opt to pass it on the core?
I want to say he's done
Not
it
recently, right?
He's done it in the past.
Because, gentlemen, I dare not speak his name 3 times, but Huskar is out there unbanned. We have a Dazzle, Drow on Alliance's side. Do we know them at all to consider that as an option?
No, like what I wanted to point out early on is too, Alliance doesn't really pick Core Mirana that often. Like S4 doesn't really play it here a lot. So if they're like when they ran it in the past, it was usually on the support position. But usually when you pick up a Drow Ranger on top of the Mirana, you usually want to have it as a middle core position, so you can have this mid-late game secured. And like the Dazzle is obviously one of Aka's most loved support heroes. He played like literally every other game. And as you said before, the Shadow Demon was definitely like a denial pick because Shadow Demon with Drow Ranger as well as Mirana is really good. And obviously if they plan to pick Sven, then Shadow Demon is like a hard counter to Sven as well.
I feel like Fnatic just have all the tools right now to deal with Alliance. Like as soon as that Slaughter gets a Blink Dagger and Track comes online, there's just Fnatic are going to be all over Alliance.
They don't have good team fight right now. So Alliance with the Drow, they could still build like a very team-focused type of lineup. They group up, they push, they get a mech. Because that's what you want to do against a Bounty.
But that's why they banned Coddle and Beast, right? Because both of those heroes pretty much allow you to do that a lot.
They're still tight. I know they don't run tight so much, but it could fit what they want to do right now. You don't want to be split up against a Slaughter and Bounty Hunter. You're just going to get run down and punished.
Yeah, Fnatic has to be a bit worried about the early game aggression of Alliance though, because in the early game they really don't have a lot of damage. They have like Sven, Shadow Demon, Slaughter, Bounty. There's not a lot of damage.
No D push. They don't have D push. They have a mech hero right now. They're just going to group up. They're just going to run at them. Because that's how you want to play against Slaughter and Bounty Hunter.
Yeah. Actually, like, Fnatic kind of drafted themselves in the corner, I feel, because Alliance is going to have like a really, really easy laning phase, I feel. They need to get their ults online to even have damage potential to kill them. Like, the only kill I can really see happening is like Tidehunter dying to 3 heroes on the safe lane if he's not careful.
Yeah, right now the last pick for Fnatic, they need a hero that can like sort of stop the push, like D-push, you have D-push. Maybe Cosvex Invoker, like something along those lines. Whereas Alliance, they need... you think S4 wouldn't play Mirana this game?
No, he probably will, but we haven't seen him play it a whole lot in the past. But
Maybe,
of course, like,
maybe,
S4
you
is a
would
really good
prefer,
player.
maybe you would prefer something like a Dragon Knight.
Yeah.
So for him.
But like the support Mirana plus a Dazzle, I mean, it can work, but you don't really have an arrow setup on any lane, so it's like kind of risky to do. So it's probably gonna end up in the middle, and like maybe even a puck for S4.
That's
like,
what I was just gonna say. I mean, is puck out of the question? I know you're kind of putting everything on the Drow, but what their lineup says so far is that's what they're alluding to. They might put everything on.
I would really like puck, but as you said, the Dragon Knight would be really, really nice.
Yeah,
I think.
even Medusa would be fine. They need like a tanky hero right now, like a tank up front. Medusa will be extremely good versus the Sven.
Yeah.
You have the draw aura and you know you have that pushing power with your team.
If Fnatic just has no damage, if they pick another tanky push here, it's actually going to be incredibly hard for Fnatic to deal with the push.
I mean, they're going to rely on their lane dominance with the bounty. Like, if the bounty doesn't get a lot of work done for his team early, Fnatic is going to struggle to defend their towers.
They don't really have good supports against Bounty though right now. I don't feel like anything in particular on the side of Alliance is really going to punish anything that Bounty does.
Yeah, that's why I kind of prefer like if the Mirana is ran as a core and you pick a better support.
Yeah. But like the problem a Bounty Hunter also has is he can't really efficiently gank any lane right now. Like the Dazzle is gonna keep the safe lane secure. Tidehunter is really hard to kill with the Bounty Hunter. And mid lane, if it's actually really the Mirana, yeah, sure you can harass a bit, but you definitely won't find any kill there.
I mean, most of the bounties early game could actually just be keeping the tide down more than anything else. Like, just follow him around, prevent stacks and things like that, because Bulldog is that guy who always stacks the Ancients in the large camp, like a ton. So I think that might be what his best choice is here in this situation.
Well, Fnatic do anticipate it is going to be a Cormoran as they band out the Rubik, Alliance's last band. Rid of the Jug.
Let me ask you guys a question. Do you like Abaddon here and just run Mirana as a core? Because Abaddon would be good against Bounty and Slaughter. They just group and 5-man. I mean, they don't have much setup for Arrow, but just whatever. They're going to run down their
EGM has played it in the past. Could be an option for them.
Yeah, it seems pretty good against the Bounty and the Slaughter.
So support Abaddon is like actually really, really good here. If they want to run that, they will just 5-man towers.
Would you do dual lanes with Tide with Abaddon?
I mean, like Tide Abaddon is like not the best lane. It can like
but Fnatic can't do
you a
anything
lot.
against that right now. Like, what is their safe lane going to be? Shadow Demon Sven, pretty much?
Yeah, exactly. Like the lane is not very strong, like Tidehunter Abaddon, but their lane is like what? Like disruption into Svenstun? Yeah, nothing.
Yeah, not great.
No damage at all.
10 seconds.
10 seconds to go. We'll have our answer soon. It's
Elder Titan.
Elder
Wow,
Titan.
he
A
actually made it.
5th pick Elder Titan.
Oh, it's still Elder Titan.
Yeah, I did not actually.
Good job, guys. Good job.
How did Elder
Pretty
Titan
good.
get last picked?
I don't know. But now we have our answer. Mid, bottom, carry draw.
Yeah, that's the setup for the Arrow.
Yep.
At least they have a setup right now, so you can actually get kills with the Arrow into Starstorm.
Natural Order combats Sven's natural ability to bump up the armor a bit.
5
Solid pick.
remaining.
And
of course, like Elder Titan together with the Mirana Aghanim's is like incredible. The natural order, you just like destroy a hero instantly.
Fnatic needs like deep push right now. There's
Yeah.
not many good options available. I would still lean with the Quasvex Invoker against Tide, Elder Titan, and the push.
They need deep push, but at the same time they need deep push, like a deep push hero that also deals a lot of burst damage.
we're going to opt for a Storm Spirit, gentlemen.
They have a lot of catch, but no deep push.
Like I feel like their 5-man is just gonna break their neck. Like how do you 5-man with a like Storm Spirit?
I don't think they can though. So
Yeah.
I'm going for Alliance this game, despite Fnatic being my friends. But Alliance have
Agreed.
a much easier game.
I think
plan.
we're unanimous here.
Unanimous that Alliance and their Bull Rush is going to be enough to run over Fnatic. We'll have to see if that's going to be the case or not. We'll throw it over to our casters now for game number 1 of day 3 action. It's Toby Wan and Merlini.
Thanks a lot, Dakota. Yes, it is time. Alliance TI winners before, but does that really count for that much? Fnatic going up against them. It's a whole new TI. Anyone could be a winner here, Merlini.
Oh, you're blessed to be here. Drow Ranger yet again.
Yeah, and
think he's gonna win?
It's my dream as well. It's a big team fight. You bring in a Ravage. You bring in the jump of a Storm Spirit. A 5th pick Elder Titan as well. The panel forgot about him. It looks like Alliance didn't.
I thought that Fnatic were actually going to pick it up once they saw the Drow Ranger, but let's see if they correct their mistakes with their Drow strat against eHome yesterday. I'm sure they analyzed that to death.
And we will find out. We will find out. We're going to go straight to our game and begin game number 1 of this full best of 3. Alliance and Fnatic, one of these teams today, they will not progress. will be over for them. We've already eliminated enough teams from TI6. Another one will drop today as Alliance. Okay, how do you actually feel about this laning phase? I know the panel was talking about having a Batten teaming up with a Tidehunter for that off lane. How's the ET meant to slip in now? Is he a roaming support to help out mid and bottom? Or should he actually go and join Admiral Bulldog on top?
I think they realize that Fnatic's safe lane is really weak. They don't have to do a lane up there. They don't need the Dazzle up there. They don't need the ABBA. And this way they can put EGM on a roamer. I think that's where you're really scared of Fnatic. Like if you lose the lanes and then Alliance start grouping up, taking your T1s, there's very little room for comeback with the lineup that they have.
So danger zone for them. It's pretty much what you're saying right now.
Yeah, they need to make sure they win the lanes really hard, try and get level 6 ASAP on Bounty Hunter and Slardar, make sure the Storm's protected. I do favor Alliance's draft here. It's much easier to execute, and it doesn't really require that much to outplay Fnatic in the team fights. They have the Tidehunter Ravage, and Fnatic, what do they have in the way of team fight? Maybe a little bit from Shadow Demon, maybe a little bit of Cleave from Sven, but those are all very minor AoE spells relative to Alliance's.
They've at least got the option to jump on the Drow Ranger on the back line. That's the advantage of Storm Spirit. He can go wherever the hell he wants. 3-4-3 as well. Potentially can jump around the back lines with track vision. Fnatic could just make better decisions during the team fight. But you are right. Alliance is pretty much a stand, seal, and deliver against Fnatic. And Fnatic will have to play very, very good Dota in order to stay on top of Alliance.
They need the Storm to get a lot of farm. If the Storm gets Orchid early, like Bloodstone Orchid, then they can actually deal with the Dazzle. But right now, if they jump to Drow Ranger, Dazzle's just going to be there in the back. Elder Titan's can stomp too. You don't even need a Ravage to save the Drow Ranger. But once the Orchid comes out, then they can actually just punish the Dazzle really quickly.
Well, there's a big advantage for mid one. The fact that like he shouldn't die to S4. Like there's no rotating supports that are really going to be a nuisance, unlike S4 who has to deal with 3-4-3. Early Orb of Venom forces a leap out of S4, so he'll have to go back.
We always say shouldn't, but remember yesterday with the Ember and Huskar?
Yeah, there's a lot of like coulda, shoulda, wouldn't. Ohio gets harassed a little bit on bottom lane. 3-4-3 is still hovering around that mid, trying to keep S4 back away from the CS. And it looks like finally EGM, yeah, it was only a matter of time before he'll come
Bulldog
over.
has 5 stacks on him. Ooh, that one's killed him.
Be very careful of DJ. DJ also takes a lot of damage to do that. And EGM comes to the middle lane. They planned down a Sentry Wards, now they at least have Vision, the Bounty Hunter. I was kind of surprised because EGM also arrived with early Dust on that Elder Titan. So they really want to try and find the kill. Ohio, that's a little off. Try to crush on Loader. Got to be really careful when he does that too, because he has Sprint turned on. A little bit of extra damage.
Do you think taunts are cursed, Toby? I saw Admiral Bulldog on the tail end of the backstroke.
Admiral Bulldog is just going to try and bait them in. You think you got him, and then all of a sudden it's a turnaround. Ohio actually playing some more classic Jimmy spots, as he'll have to sprint, level 1 sprint himself away. There's still no good control coming out from Alliance. Until Lotus got Gust or Cold Arrows, Ohio's going to be free to do what he wants, especially with EGM. Like EGM went for Echo Stomp early on, but without the Spirit, the Slaughter should always be able to get away.
Slow laning phase, I think, is better off for Alliance. Just need to get as many levels as they can on the Drow.
So kind of what we expect at the start. Very, very passive laning. No one wants to go anywhere too hard. 3-4-3 being kept down the levels until he leeches it from the lanes he goes to.
They're having a lot of trouble pulling on bottom, though. They have that large camp blocked out by the Sentry Ward, and then you have the additional illusions to help control the wave. And Loda's only like level 2 right now, which is not really where you want to be on the Drow Ranger.
3-4-3. Managed to get vision superiority again in mid lane. Able to get rid of that Radiant Sentry Ward so he can attack into S4. But at the same time that happens, EGM moves over to the mid lane. So making sure that Mirana's still able to find some level of high CS.
Bottle's on the way, but no additional sentries for S4. Like, if you're Bounty Hunter right now, what's your mentality? Which lane are you going to go to? Which one looks most vulnerable to you? Tidehunter, pretty difficult, especially if he has 6 charges. He has 0 at the moment. Mid lane, she has Leap maybe once Storm gets 6 or if Storm gets a kill rune. Bottom lane, it's also not that easy, but it might be your best choice if you see one of the supports like out pretty far pooling. 3-4-3 going in, but
Yeah, that's a flying courier with movement speed boost. That's not going to go anywhere apart from mid lane. We got the style fall from S4, early level 2. Arrow still available, going to fly it out, and Storm Spirit brought down. Alliance will spill first blood. For all the harassment the Bounty Hunter was offering, it just took a good combination from EGM and S4 to bring down the Storm.
Yeah, the early level Stomp was really hard to dodge, especially when you do not have boots yet on the Storm Spirit. But it was really important that he picked up level 2.
Oh, 3-4-3. He gets the courier. Had a decent amount on it too. It was the boots and the bottle of S4. He'd be a little bit annoyed about that.
Yeah, they were very careful about making it fly over the tree line earlier. And maybe he should have suspected it because no one showed up to help out the Storm Spirit in the early first blood.
S4, you should be really careful. You're walking in range of a sentry ward. There's no Vortex available from mid one. Get a couple of chips into the Mirana.
I wonder if S4 is just going to have to hoof it home and let Elder Titan take experience. Like, there's no way you can stay in lane without
unless EGM can get a perfect. Oh, there's no mana on S4. And 3-4-3's coming in. The Shuriken toss. Not enough damage. The Fairy Fire keeping S4 alive. They were really trying to push the issue against mid one and almost lost their mid-core Alliance.
Alliance are in a really good spot now. Now that bottom lane, that sentry is gone, so now they can use that pool. Load up, picked up a Quelling Blade too. He can even jungle pretty early on if he picks up a mask, but now they've gotten XP on their 2 supports, one by pooling, one by getting first blood. The bottle's a setback, but as long as someone's getting XP in mid, looks like EGM will be taking that, then they're okay.
I'm waiting for the stacks to arrive for Fnatic. Like, you're running a Sven, and right now I'm only seeing like 1 stack inside the Dire jungle. There's nothing stacked on the Ancients. You can be a little bit concerned that Admiral Bulldog could just slip over and try and take it. Ohio, Ace should be okay. Into the tree lines. RK, nice crush from Ohio. Just keeps RK away.
Going back to the stacks, yeah, it would help them out a lot if the Bounty Hunter were able to stack a little bit, but I think they're looking to pressure more in the lanes. Like, if they lose their T1s, that might be a really good potential for Alliance to smoking there. They did it yesterday versus eHome in this exact same situation where Fnatic were on Dire with the Sven, so they don't have that high ground ward, so maybe not not too comfortable as to when the perfect time is, but their supports have been preoccupied, more than preoccupied.
DJ with nice zoning out in the top rune allows mid one to pick up a double damage. So Storm Spirit with kill potential. Admiral Bulldog, DJ going to disrupt, goes for the catcher as well. And mid one, he'll have to jump forward if he wants to go for Bulldog. No level 6 on the Tidehunter, so there is no Ravage available. It won't matter the poison. It is going to be enough. There's only 1 stack in it, but it will be DJ bringing down Admiral Bulldog. There was only 1 stack, but it was 3 levels in that Shadow Poison.
Yeah, wow, it's level 5 already. And mid one didn't even have to expend all his mana over there. He didn't really have to go in that deep. Nice stomp coming out from EGM to try and save his ally. But Fnatic, they're doing good. They're doing well.
Yeah. Laning phase looking good for them. He's still getting some good levels and farm onto Alliance. Like, Loda has managed to crack the level 6. You can see him going for that early Dragon Lance. Gives him really good range to beat down some of these towers, and that's required for Alliance. If Alliance is going to group up as 5, you need someone with the range to actually force a reaction out from Fnatic, and the best way to do that, start taking away the buildings.
And start taking down the wards. 3-4-3 just dewarded the mid Observer ward on Alliance, and now they're flying blind. No Observer wards out on the map right now, and they still need some time for their lineup.
They just push the lane to the tower. Loda triggers his aura. So they really want this tier 1 tower down the bottom, and Ohio's in no position to fight. So this is a very easy, simple tier 1 tower for Alliance. It's to be expected when you run a Draw Ranger lineup with just an off-lane Slaughter.
And HOD creep already coming out. See the small Satyr Banisher trying to pull the Ancient Black Dragon, but T1's at critical HP, so this is no longer that safe of a place for her.
Is this when 3-4-3 actually has like defensive ward, like on the cliff side next to Roshan?
Even so, you still have a hard time defending. Like, most teams will smoke up there, so the Observer ward only offers you so much protection. You need some heroes out there to scout out their maneuver.
Oh, mid one, he jumps in, actually takes the regeneration rune from under the noses of S4 and Bulldog.
And really important runes for Storm. He needs the haste, he needs the DD, the regen, like all these are really good. Illusion, bounty, fairly useless to him.
S4 also wants just the bottle charges. If he can't get that, there's still a rune down on bottom lane. But they'll see RK making a play for it, but while that's happening, Ohio sprinting forward. 3-4-3 is going to get close in on Loda. So if he wants to slow him down, he can do so. Ohio's going to get scouted out.
I like the early Lance build. They probably say like, man, this guy's 1100 HP. How do we kill him? Especially without amp. 3-4-3s. Looks like he's
The
dead.
damage with the Storm. EGM brings it in. Ohio, he tried to stop it, but now in comes the Storm Spirit. Regeneration Rune active. The Shallow Grave will keep EGM alive. Fnatic already losing 2, but in comes Storm once again, but he doesn't have the Regeneration Rune. There's no mana left. Only 8-1 charges and a couple of bottle charges, but that's not instant mana. So EGM will TP out safely. And a good little skirmish there for Alliance.
And probably the 2 heroes that you least want to lose at this point. Like Storm, a pretty big deal. But you need these 2 heroes to get level 6. They're severely lacking on damage. And how are they going to get bounty hunter kills, track kills without anything of the sort? And we already see a smoke maneuver into the Ancients. I see 2 orbs on Aki. Where is he going to place them?
One to watch the Ancients. And the rest of the maneuver is to look towards that mid-tier 1. But while that happens, Mushi takes out the tier 1 tower on top lane. 3-4-3 starts to actually sits right on top of the Radiant Observer Ward. So Alliance are well aware he's there. And okay, 3-4-3. I was wondering if they could see him too. D-wards the obs, but it's an easy tier 1 tower.
This stack is going to be
hard to hold.
Very hard to hold. And
He's still stacking it.
Yeah, Alliance can easily do it with the Tidehunter. He doesn't have level 4 Anchor Smash, so it won't be that fast, but they can still do it.
Fnatic's coming down. They want to take care of this stack if possible. You got the 4 levels up in Cleave for Mushi, so he's ready to go down and do it.
Do you want to fight into Ravage, though? Alliance can easily swing over Admiral Bulldog, but Fnatic are going to have to commit multiple heroes to take down the stacks. No Echo Saber on Sven. It's not going to be fast at all.
And right now, Alliance is going to force him to fight into Ravage no matter what. Like, they're just walking down the lanes, attacking a tower. Either Fnatic keep trying to side lane push, but that's only going to work for so long. Can they last long enough to get that Orchid onto the Storm Spirit? To get whatever, like, is the Blink Dagger for Mushi next?
They need the track, though. 3-4-3 just use a tome, but he's 30 XP shy of level 6. Maybe reaching some from the Sanction stack will help. There they go with Mushi, and Alliance nowhere in sight to defend this. With that Obs Ward dewarded by 3-4-3.
Mushi, you're really low, man. You should be able to survive through the Black Dragons, but only barely. Calculated. Will now have enough money to buy that Blink Dagger, if that is his wish.
Loda probably senses out that they're ganking him. Doesn't even want to be to the left side. That is the most common gank spot.
Alliance are coming over. They're 4-man smoke maneuvering. Storm Spirit puts down the Remnants just because Loda came in close.
But he's in full defensive mode. He has Strength Treads and Dragon Rights. It's going to take them a while to kill him. Buying more time for that Grave to come out from Ake.
Is there a jump time? Well, Ohio already using his Crush to farm. And then sprints away. Alliance too far out. Obviously no Blink Dagger on that Tidehunter just yet. It's more of a mech build coming in. The survivability, the 5-man maneuver Alliance lineup. And Fnatic have dodged them. The smoke maneuver from Alliance will probably still end in the tier 2 tower and the bot lane dropping. But Mushi, straight back to the farm. They wait for the right time to fight.
He's back to farming, but he has also picked up a fighting item. Sven's actually gone forward to the Blink Dagger. Normally at this juncture we see Echo Saber or Armlet, so with the Blink Dagger pickup, he definitely wants to fight. They need to be able to kill Dazzle, ET.
He can't TP though, he just TP'd up to the top lane. So this fight can only be held back by Shadow Poison pretty much. That's their only level of, that's the only D push. The mid one, he's actually wrapping around the rear, farming up the camps right next to Alliance's push. The Slaughter is forcing the mid lane by crushing and pushing to the tier 1.
They really need more tower damage in their other lanes. Mushi and Ohio haven't really been hitting the towers. Mushi's actually farming up the Radiant Ancients in the meantime.
Tier 2 tower is gone. DJ slept up by the Stomp. And while he does have a defensive disruption, it won't come down in time. S4 with an easy Starfall finds the pick.
They don't even get the mid T1 tower. Mushi was just, oh.
Even in death, Shadow Demon can still cause a problem. I still love him mid one. He's just waiting. Arke will walk around the corner here. Ohio's in the neighborhood. Arke's going to get picked. Alliance not moving out as a squad. They didn't really think anyone was behind, even though mid one was creep skipping previously. So even though they didn't take down the mid tier 1 tower, Sven is still by far the top net worth on the field. Mid one is getting a lot of farm from jungle camps. And now they have to Moonlight Shadow to protect Admiral Bulldog underneath his own tier 1 tower.
I think they're overcompensating for yesterday. Yesterday they didn't group up. They split up and farm too much and they got picked off. In this game, they look at Fnatic's lineup, they look at their mistakes from yesterday, like, okay, we need to group up, we need to push, but they're not really balancing out the farm and the pushing that much. They're behind the net worth by a fair margin, despite there only being 7 kills in this game. And normally you'd be like, oh, well, Bounty Hunter's not really getting value out of it, but the other heroes are getting a ton out of it, mostly the Sven, and he is still ready to fight.
It's the XP graph, man. That's the bigger one. Like a 6.5 grand going the way of Fnatic for that. Like Mushi right now, the Blink Dagger's a great fighting item, but it also is just making him progress from camp to camp inside the jungle.
I think they need to make them keep guessing where the Tidehunter is. As long as Tidehunter's showing, they know when and where to fight. Like I think they show the Drow Ranger pushing out the lane, and then is Tidehunter behind them? They don't know. Sometimes they have to let the Drow just solo farm. Sometimes they might have to overcommit and get baited out. They need to put them in that position. Ravage comes out on bottom.
Yeah, bottom lane, they're going in. Ohio gusted back. So they'll find the kill on the Slaughter. Mid one is already ball lightning himself away. He's going to go all the way back home. So you commit your Ravage, you bring down the Slaughter, and you bring a lot of players down the bottom lane. But again, Fnatic, they're pushing in the top lane. They're dodging Alliance at every turn. S4 needs to hit its arrow. DJ sidesteps it out. EGM with no spirit does have his Storm pump, but DJ turns, purges. There's no one really attacking EGM apart from all the illusions of himself. And DJ even dodges the attack. The poison not enough to get the kill on the Elder Titan. While up on top, Mushi trying to just finish off this tower. The anchor smash causing some problems, but Mushi's still able to complete the job. And that's a tier 2 tower going the way of Fnatic.
And Alliance are just losing structures left and right. Too many gone to the way of Fnatic at this moment. And it doesn't really matter if Alliance have warded up the Dire Ancients because Mushi can just farm up the Radiance.
He really doesn't care that much, does he? As long as he can find the money. And this Alliance 5-man ball just being denied pretty much.
He looks like an alchemist on a net worth chart with how far ahead he is of everyone else.
He's even going, like, for all the farming that Mushi's done, like, he's been 0 kills, 0 deaths, 0 assists, involved in absolutely nothing. Obviously, Fnatic's only got 3 kills in this 16-minute game so far, but then he builds an S and Y, another early combat item. But once that's up, the Orchid should also be pretty much near completion for mid 1.
I like the Orchid Rush this game as opposed to the Bloodstone. Most of the storms we'll see will get Bloodstone first, but I think with this sort of game, you need to control the Dazzle in the fight so that the Drow Ranger falls. It's also pretty good versus the Tidehunter if you can actually coordinate and make sure that you focus them. But again, Alliance are grouping up. There's so many heroes on the top lane of Fnatic. We're like, okay, well, we'll just do Roshan. We have amplified damage. They have to respect it. Storm Spirit, one of the best Aegis carriers in the game, and Alliance are just going to have to hand it over.
Yep, it's the oldest classic trade in the book. Roshan for a Dire tier 1 tower. As S4, well, he's coming over, throws the arrow, is going to come into the pit. Roshan's low, and it is killed by the Dire. The arrow will connect on Mushi.
That was way too close. I think one of the heroes is like, okay, I'm just going to take it. They saw it coming.
Jump in front of Roshan. Yeah, well, S4 threw it out right next to a Fnatic hero. So now Fnatic, with Storm Spirit Aegis the Immortal, you got a free jump in initiation with a second life.
Yeah, it's like, normally you want Bloodstone so you don't die in the fights and you have that barrier of HP, and if you survive you get Bloodstone charges, but with the Aegis they can just suicide for the Dazzle and I think just easily mop them up for a 4-on-1 or 5-on-1 trade.
So does Alliance just don't get involved now? Is that the play? Wait out the Aegis the Immortal, or can they still 5-man maneuver? The Ravage is back up. They do have the mech on Bulldog.
They have the.
Are they stronger?
The more important thing I think is the Ags on the Murana that just came online. So with this, I think this is their timing. I think their line was built to fight. They can farm, but as I believe Winter mentioned earlier, it's like Admiral Bulldog's he's on Tidehunter in this game. He's not on a Lone Druid, he's not on a Bristleback, he's not on something that scales particularly well. He's 1-1-1, and they've been looking to fight all game, but if it keeps going at this rate, Fnatic's going to easily outscale them. They're just going to be able to mow them down with this overfarmed Sven, who can just get a BKB and just run at you. With that, when he has that amount of farm, there's nothing that you can do. He's going to have like 30+ armor. He's not going to be affected by Ravage.
So instead, they just have to group up and go.
They have to do something.
Well, 3-4-3. The dust will come out from EGM, finding him, trying to go straight to the Stomp. That will put the Bounty Hunter to sleep, and a follow-up Cold Arrow. Elder Titan will find the last punch. So no Bounty Hunter for the fight. They won't have track available.
But Bounty Hunter, or sorry, Sven is already on the bottom lane, pushing, blinking past waves. He already took down the T1, and only now did they start hitting the T2.
Just a little bit to the south, Ohio waiting at the tree line, right next to S4 as well as Admiral Bulldog.
He's waiting for someone to TP. Mushi popped Godstrain. They want Alliance to TP out.
That's not happening yet. Okay, now it is the Dazzle on the hillside. It's Arcade who's the first one to leave. S4's on the run. Already stacked up with 2 poisons. The crush onto Admiral Bulldog. Mid one coming in close. Orchid is available for him. The ET splitter. Fnatic easily dodging it.
And free T2 tower from Mushi. And they just put Alliance in a really hard spot there. If they TP out with like a Tide Hunter, they're just going to jump them without Ravage. And if they don't TP back strong enough, then Mushi just takes a free tower and likely even gets a kill if it's a weak support. So they're just forcing Alliance into these inopportune trades and situations. They constantly have to decide. DJ's like keeping the Tide Hunter in check, so they can't back out cleanly. And now even Ohio and Mushi might even sweep in from behind if they're not careful. And Alliance can't even teamfight at this point.
Oh, they have to back up. That's a huge creep wave up on top. There's the threatening Mushi on bottom. Fnatic are just playing like really smart and very elusive Dota against Alliance.
On top of that, it looks like Mushi is finally going to go for a BKB. I say finally, it's 20
Top
minutes.
lane, the jump in. It was already set up with 3-4-3 coming in close. Gets the initial slow from Janata. And now with no Dro Ranger, Sven takes out another tower. 20 minutes in, farming up Radiant Ancients. There's only one remaining outer tower 20 minutes in for Alliance. And they're the team with the Dro Ranger. They're the team with a lineup that was meant to 5-man force Fnatic into bad team fights. And it just hasn't worked.
This is going to be really bad. Sven, just 1 minute, he's going to have his BKB, and then they can just jump them without really any fear in the world. Or just wait until next Roche, or they can split push and farm. Like, there's so many different options available for Fnatic right now. And Alliance are...
They have one key item that arrived. They have a Blink Dagger on the Ravage, so technically now Admiral Bulldog will be a lot harder for DJ to keep in check. They need vision of Bulldog, however. Right now they've got track over on Arcade, so they do see him quite easily.
Do they want to fight right now, though? There's still about half a minute left.
Fnatic knows. Like, you finish the BKB. Like, you don't go high ground without your BKB.
Yeah. Well, and you have way better wards on the Fnatic side right now. Really deep wards. Whereas Alliance, they have one near the top, one kind of in the middle. Maybe not likely to get dewarded, but I don't really think they can do that much with that information. On top of that, Fnatic have the Bounty Hunter constantly scouting out for them.
They'll at least know when Fnatic fall back over the river.
I think they want to time a fight with the Aegis expiration. It's going to be about 5 seconds away. So now Alliance have the green light to jump in.
Yeah, but where's your target? The Observer Ward scouts out Ohio moving north, but EGM's the only one near him.
So I think they have to do something before the next Roche. It's going to be a really important time for them, but yeah, I think Fnatic are more than willing to take a fight. Up until then, they're like, okay, well, they're stronger than us right now. They have the Drow, but I think Drow is already kind of peaking relative to the Sven, when Sven is like 50%.
Speaking of which, Storm Spirit looks like he's... Okay, Loda stayed there just a little bit longer. He probably would have just gone for the straight jump. Loda does have the Hurricane Pike up now. So he's got some extra things to work with from Alliance's high ground defense, and this isn't an unusual position for Alliance, being a long way behind. Roughly 8,500 in the net worth, over 10,000 experience behind too. A very slow game, but a very patient game. They just have to pick the right opportunity.
You have to be really worried for the Drow Ranger, though.
Oh, Bulldog? Hello. I don't know if he really meant to blink into Fnatic just then.
I think your worst nightmare going, like, as a Drow Ranger going to late game is like a super high armor hero going into you. We've seen TNC constantly draft the Axe versus the Drow Ranger, and Sven is a similar hero in that he just has tons of physical mitigation and will just run at you, disable the marksmanship, and just cleave you down. And you just don't have that much uptime as a Drow Ranger. And the later the game gets, there's not really that many items that can help you out.
3-4-3. Arrow's going to be off target. You still got mid one in the neighborhood. So if they want to commit for this, it would take a lot from Alliance. Like, we're talking Ravage to even get a kill here. 3-4-3. Oh, the double Starfall. You have to respect that magical burst damage that comes from the Mirana Ags.
I think it might be worth it for Alliance to invest in a gem at this time, so they can actually take fights with the Ravage and maybe catch Fnatic off guard at one point. Also, just de-warding
EGM dead. So dead. Mid one and Mushi just destroyed him on the bottom lane. S4 will jump forward, then Mushi triggers the BKB. No leap of S4 thanks to the Orchid, and Mushi will just TP out under the protection of that Magic community.
I think worth for 10-second BKB. Kill, half damage on the T3, and I think 3 or 4 TPs that look like coming out from Alliance, and now they're kind of cornered in their base. Supports can't defend against these waves, they can't push out the lanes, and that means you need a course to do so, which means you can't really push out and take objectives, and I think they'll just constantly instill that fear onto Alliance. Like, if they have to huddle around their base, Roach is open to them, and then they have to be even more scared because Storm Spirit.
Oh, S4 actually managed to hit an arrow onto Ohio, a good 5-second stun. He was just farming, but he was farming underneath the Radiant Observer Ward of Alliance. And it's pickoffs like this which will give Alliance some breathing room, and good time to have it. Roshan could potentially be up. So Fnatic can't just slip over. It's a 40-second respawn, so Slaughter will be up in time, but Alliance are already smoking up themselves. They move out, there's a sentry ward down, the Bounty is not in range of this. They have no idea what's going on.
Bounty Hunter scouted out. He popped Tidehunter smoke.
Oh, they trigger dust. They know he's in the tree line. The Weave will give the vision, so 3-4-3. Elder Titan. Once again, EGM will find the kill. That's his 3rd for the game.
That is the worst target for the Smoke Gang to pop on, though. And he even got an Observer Ward, so he has 2 Observer Wards down to the left side, so they can see exactly where they go.
I think you take anything at this point of the game, though. And you're still getting a lot of money into Mirana, as well as Dro. Like, the fact that S4 almost has the same net worth as the Storm Spirit is pretty impressive considering the state of the game.
So he picked up a Yules. That's pretty good versus the Storm Spirit. You'll see Yules on a few mid laners, I suppose, like Lina in particular, sometimes SF. What do you want to deal with the Storm Spirit back when they were really popular Alliance? Blowing a 2nd smoke at this moment. They have the Ravage. Fnatic have all 5 heroes. This could be the time to brawl, but Mushi, he is the one to watch. Is he actually going to
the Moonlight Shadow? 3-4-3 is going to break the smoke. The Moonlight Shadow still keeps them in Viz. Not sure if Fnatic really saw it or not.
They're going to try and blow up Mushi? I don't know if they have enough damage to do it before he BKBs.
Especially when S4's not there and Mushi just blinks into the tree line. Does have a TP scroll available, hasn't used it yet. The Spirit searching for Mushi in the trees, but it's so close but so far away. Mushi's TP all the way home, while Fnatic, they actually 4-man smoke. The smoke will be broken by S4, who gets tracked.
That TP was a little bit too far back. I think I would have preferred like a TP back to the T3 so they can re-engage very quickly. But now Fnatic, they waste a smoke of their own, trying to catch Alliance and flank them from behind.
Just so hard for Alliance to really catch up to anyone from Fnatic, because they got so much money. Even DJ having this Blink Dagger, there's too much maneuverability on Fnatic. They got 3 Blink Daggers to work with, and then the Invis as well. And the Ball Lightning.
Yeah, Mirana's farm though. I think she can easily get a pick off by herself with the Yules. Maybe not on the Sven, but anyone else I think is quite vulnerable.
I think Loda's going to be a lot happier too once he gets that ultimate orb. Having the Manda style, breaking free of the Orchid silence of the Storm Spirit.
Dispel Amp.
Yep.
All pretty good.
Admiral Bulldog currently killing a traitor inside the pit, but he'll have to move over. Mushi hit by an arrow. Yule Scepter up. That's S4. Trying to prepare for another jump. They go for Mushi. BKB triggered. Ball Lightning mid one. Trying to come in to help out his core with a stun. Mushi walking away. The Ravage committed mid one. The damage from Loda. Suicide will happen. So Alliance don't get the kill, but at least they put the Storm Spirit on the sidelines. TJ's not out of the woods just yet. S4 rotating over, going to find 3-4-3. The first Starfall into the second one. They've lost the vision on 3-4-3. And with a Blink Dagger, TJ got far enough into the mid lane trees to TP himself away to safety. So again, Alliance robbed of any kills thanks to the Bloodstone denied. But they will be thinking about Roshan.
They don't have Ravage for this. That was pretty good for them. If they had gotten Mushi there, oof. Highest net worth hero in the game, but not really able to contribute too much to the team fights. Not respecting the magical burst from Mirana. Almost caught off guard, feeling nigh invulnerable with the BKB.
Fnatic are coming.
I think they can just go inside the Roach pit. How are they going to deal with the Elder Titan Spirit, though?
Oh, did EGM notice that? Yeah, he did. The Spirit actually clipped Mushi while it's still under the cover of smoke.
But you still have to fight without Ravage if you want to take a fight here. Ideally, you want to stall with the Elder Titan stump, but he just used it. There's no Spirit there.
Well, that arrow actually helping Fnatic. A full 5-second stun on Roshan with the amplification. Alliance, now they're going to Moonlight Shadow in, but the 3-man crush! Ohio, he goes straight into the mix. Mushi will try and shot it. He only finds an illusion. Storm Spirit in pretty deep, but he'll find his target, and it will be EGM pulling back the Elder Titan. The Greaser by a little bit more life. Mid one, the Aegis model will trigger. EGM trying to hold mid position. The ET splitter, well, Fnatic just waited all out, and then EGM will fall. They look for more. The stun on Arcade. The extra track will go to work. Mushi does get hit by an arrow, so we can't help out. But mid one, the long jump in. Yulsep are up with the gust. It keeps mid one control into the tier 2. Motor will get a revenge kill, and that's a big one to take. A dominating streak ended.
We've seen some excellent gusts from Drow Rangers recently. Nice one there to get the kill on mid one. That one will not be Bloodstone denied, so a lot of gold going the way of Alliance, and that was pretty good considering they didn't have Ravage that entire fight. They did a really good job of limiting Storm Spirit's damage during that. Also, Sven, he didn't have detection. He went on the illusions because that was the only thing that he could see, and he kind of got kited during his entire BKB duration. And now it's slowly starting to tick down. It's already 7 seconds down for Mushi.
You don't have this timer running out too early, but he is starting to rack up more damage. Has the Daedalus recipe, but doesn't have the Demon Edge at the moment. But we're going to get to a point where Alliance, if they do get caught out by this Venom, it's only going to take one swing and Mushi's going to kill them all. And that's just because he's got so much money, so much net worth, almost 19,000 on Mushi.
Yeah, looks like he's going Daedalus even, so doesn't even want to tank up, I think. Like, I kind of like Fear's build yesterday where he went for like Blink HOD AC and BKB optional, depends on what kind of defensive supports that you have. But I think the AC is like really, really good versus lineup. You're going to be kited because there's Grave, there's like Yules and all these other spells. BKB's duration is getting kind of low, so you can still help your team out with the aura. You don't know how many swings you're going to get off. And he also doesn't have an Echo Saber, which I think is really where the Daedalus build shines.
That sort of thing Alliance had just done. They planted an Observer Ward and Sentry Ward at the top river. This will allow them to know when Fnatic is coming to gank S4, who with BTs and that high movement speed, thanks to Yule Scepter and the maneuverability of Blink Dagger, he can just keep that split push going on top. Problem is, he hasn't seen any of Fnatic in a while, so he's very concerned they're just waiting somewhere.
Yeah. And as you mentioned earlier, Alliance are kind of used to being in this position where they're down but not out, and going to have to rely on abnormal tactics to get them through this late game. And EOT on Mirana, good way to start split pushing. Drow Ranger, not the best at split pushing. It's not a Terrorblade, it's not an Anti-Mage, it's not a Naga Siren, which Lodo probably would have favored at this point in the game, but he stuck with what he has. And
Alliance, 4-man smoke move. They're going to come up through the river.
They have BKB on Ohio.
Their Observer Ward and Sentry is going to scan out 3-4-3 in a bit, but the Moonlight Shadow, the smoke broke as well. So Bounty Hunter scouts out what's going on, and Fnatic, they're getting out of here. They do not want to give Alliance a fight again. But at least Alliance, with the lane positioning where it is, and Ravage up, they can do what they were meant to do all along. 5-man maneuver, push to a tier 2.
But BKB at the ready for 2 of them. Elder Titan Spirit comes out and is going to hit on the smoked heroes.
And again, Bulldog, Anchor Smash, 3-4-3. It was the it's the Sentry Ward that's up there for the jump forward. Loda, that split is in a good spot. It's going to snap back all of Fnatic, but you've already lost the Drow Ranger, and the damage from Sven just way too much. The Ravage will buy a little bit of space here. Also helps them to get the kill over on that Storm Spirit. Arcade, TP's out, not possible. Mushi has the stun available. Even Ohio crushing for good measure.
Oh my god, that Drow Ranger just got obliterated. She had amplified damage and got hit by the split earth, and there was no time to Grave, no time to really do anything there. Tidehunter maybe could have ravaged, but that's not going to help versus the BKBs. That's a tough fight for Alliance. At least they didn't have a gem there. That would have been really disastrous. Fnatic recently picked one up on DJ at that point, but yeah, Alliance is not geared for 5-on-5 at this point.
It's also a bad sign when Fnatic, they could be willing to push even harder. This should be the tier 2 tower at least down the mid lane because there's no Ravage for 97 seconds. Every time this thing is off cooldown, Fnatic will be more and more confident to fight. Even with the BKBs already up, they already feel confident enough when the Ravage is there.
they need a way to pop the BKBs without threatening Ravage. Because Fnatic, they're not really scared. The one time that we did see the BKB cores scared was when Mushi got jumped on that bottom side. And I think they need to do that again. I think the Mirana may need to go for a very burst-heavy build, like an EB. You just like leap in, use your EB, double Starfall combo, and then you can disengage. I think we saw that from like Old Chicken. But you want them to like, oh crap, I have to BKB right now or I'm going to die. They do have like a defensive disruption, but you always want to make them panic, and then once the BKBs are down, you can fight with the Ravage. And right now it seems like Fnatic are actually forcing the Ravages out of the Tidehunter instead. So with that, it's an easy win for the team fights.
But that's been the way this whole game's been going. It's Fnatic forcing any reaction they want out of Alliance, and always denying Alliance what they want. A big group up and team fight, at least with a vision advantage. The fact that Bounty, he can sacrifice himself all he wants. 3-4-3, hasn't got a single kill. He's got 7 assists. He's all about getting the track up, 4 deaths to his name. But he's that walking reveal ward that Alliance just can't do anything about. They wouldn't have been happy too, the fact that EGM with that smoke break on him, or the Moonlight Shadow break on him, ended the way it did. But they're coming again. Alliance will group up.
But this time, Fnatic have another BKB, this time on the Storm Spirit. So this fight could potentially even go worse than last time.
Unless they can find the jump. But with a Dire Sentry ward on the hill, Alliance can't get really good vision here. That's why they put their Observer and Sentry up in the lane and a little bit further down, more shallower in Fnatic's jungle. But they can't find the opening. There's no real way they can go, so they fall back. Loda needs to farm his BKB as well. He's about 1,000 gold away from that, so they give him the bottom lane to do so.
I think even with the BKB, though, he's just going to, like, what's the BKB going to do versus Sven? Sven will just right-click you, and even if you force step away, you can still get cleaved if someone's out in front, or if you have Manta illusions, which will actually likely happen in a team fight. Fnatic trying to smoke the long way around. Roshan not available to them for at least.
They're coming for Loda. Loda is right on top of that Dire Observer ward, plus he's farming the creep wave. That is one very, very dead Dro. With a blink crush, mid one goes in. And that is a full minute on the sideline because he bought his Ogre Club before he died. The arrow will keep Mushi away, perfectly hit from S4. And now it's up to Alliance to keep Fnatic out. They have 1 minute without Loda.
Well, half of God's Strength duration at least has been gone for them, and Loda did manage to buy an Ogre Club. That means he won't have buyback, and they're going to have to hold this.
Mushi keeps going. The arrow misses once again. Blink Crush, S4 caught out. He doesn't have his leap available. He does have Eul Scepter, however. Send him up and towards the air. The ET Splitter keeping Ohio out of the fight. As he hits the ground from the Eul's quick blink out. Fortification is still available for Alliance and Fnatic. They're not going to go for any more. The BKB is on cooldown for the Storm Spirit. So they're not going to force the issue.
They just want to be able to play it safe, take down the Roche, give the cheese to Storm. If he has Aegis cheese, he can just go absolutely crazy in this next team fight. It's going to be a 2.5-minute respawn. So a little bit of time for Alliance to find out how they want to defend the pit, maybe de-ward their side of the jungle.
Is it now that time for the gem? Is that time for the vision?
I think they needed it a while ago, but the problem is no one's really getting any farm. The Elder Titan went for the Solar Crest to try and help protect the Drow Ranger. Dazzle has just been buying wards non-stop. It had to be one. It would have to be like Murano or something like that that would buy the gem. Maybe Tidehunter. Tidehunter is 1100, so I think it's that time. You're getting close to that point where one more fight and you're gonna go into that like, you know, point of no return.
At the same time, like, you know what's in Bulldog's mind? This is the way Bulldog plays. He's thinking, I need a refresher orb. If I have my double Ravage, those BKBs go down to 5 seconds, I got a chance that the team fights can actually go the way of Alliance with that big AoE double stun time. And then the control, S4 spends his money, he buys a Shiva's Guard on this Murano. Against the 3 mealees, could help to try and at least keep him away from this Sven once that BKB wears off.
Yeah, they need some way to deal with the BKBs. Instead of going for offense, he will go for the defense.
They just survived to try and fight another day. Roshan's up in 1 minute.
Alliance are huddled in their base, though. They've blown a lot of smokes in the last 10 minutes, so I don't think they have another one available to them. Doesn't look like they have any in stock. I don't see any on chicken, none in the stash. So I don't know how they're going to try and take this next fight. What's the best angle of approach for them?
You do still have Moonlight Shadow, but then there's Orbs and Sentries down for Fnatic inside the Radiant jungle, so that also helps. But they keep getting their lanes pushed in. Fnatic go back to what they started this game with. They just keep pushing in the top, they keep pushing in the bottom.
Oh,
and they got so much
on his
money.
own creep. But no Roche. Still, efficiency.
There's an Aghanim Scepter on the Shadow Demon now.
Wow.
Yeah, we thought the SD had a decent amount of farm before. With a full Ags, Ohio, like he's licking his lips at just the side of Loader on the bot lane.
How's he almost as farmed as Bulldog?
That's a very good question. He has been the deep push for Fnatic early on. Like those high levels up in Poison, he was mopping up the creep waves all the time.
Okay, Roshan respawned. Seder Banisher will get wind of it. Fnatic can start thinking about making their way there after they push out the lanes, of course.
Our Alliance? Okay. Well, S4 gets rid of that setup.
They can really easily scout with Illusions, though, or Storm Spirit, so I don't really think Fnatic are that worried about them sneaking it. They can try.
Well, Alliance are in there, and right now Fnatic have made no movement over. Mid one is in the neighborhood. Okay, now they're making a better movement. Roshan down to half-life. The Weave is starting to kick up for Alliance. They got a lot of armor to work with. S4's already dropped the Aquila in preparation. The ET splitter, mid one if you want to jump in. The splitter too early. Ohio gets the crush. It's killed by the die. The bounty hunter. He picks up the Agency Mortal. Alliance tried something sneaky and now they may pay the price for it. Mid one's all over him. The Shallow Grave will keep S4 alive a little bit longer. The mid one is there. Waiting arms will even find him. No into the tree lines. Miranda will TP out. Unfortunately for the rest of Alliance, they will not have that option. Loader as well as Bulldog drop. Mushi chases to the ends of the Earth Arcade. And they move over to EGM, who's just trying to man fight against DJ. There is no way to win that fight. Alliance getting crushed in the pit. Fnatic, they arrived late to the party. If that splitter was just a fraction of a second later as well, it could have been huge for him.
Yeah, it was almost perfectly timed by EGM, but Fnatic, 3 in the pit. 2 BKBs, and they got the Aegis kill, or they got the Roche kill, they got the Aegis, and Bulldog was not able to get his Ravage off that fight. Not like it would have mattered too much because of the BKBs, and Mushi was just on top of Loda the entire fight.
No space for the drone. Shield buyback. Fortification will slow down the Raxing. S4 caught out by Storm Spirit. A perfect jump from mid one. It's a nice gust from Loda. Maybe he can get a revenge on the 3-4-3, but DJ is there with the waiting disruption arms to pull 3-4-3 out of the firing line. Fnatic will finish the job. They bring down the melee. And now Bulldog jumps to the front lines. There is that BKB over a mid one as well as the cheese. So all this damage can be repaired. But he'll use his BKB charge instead. Down to 7 seconds on that one. And Alliance sort of clean up the bottom. But it cost them then the buyback on the draw. They did not want to have to do that.
Still very long time left on Mirana's respawn. And most of this game, though, they just have not been able to fight effectively as 5. Like, Fnatic aren't really worried about fighting into them because Alliance, they weren't able to push super hard in the early game. They weren't able to secure many objectives. They weren't able to control the Ancients that allowed Sven to propel himself to this insane net worth.
Well, hello.
It's Alk Sven.
It's a refresher of Mushi. The Sven will now have double 5-second BKBs and double God Strength, depending on what he wants to drop, unless he gets his own dedicated courier.
The region's also very useful. They, like, near the end of the last fight, he had like 180 mana, which is just not enough to keep going. They don't really have too many ways to... I guess, is he going to drop something? Maybe HOD? Yeah. What, he has Moonshard and Refresher?
Yep. This guy's got a lot of money. Mushi's actually going at just shy of 800 gold per minute.
Dang. Like, you want him to, like, kind of be forced into these, like, questionable decisions. Like, do you really want to get MKBs? Good versus the Drow, not good versus anyone else. And
He'll get whatever he
wants. He's not really worried.
This guy's a superstar. He's got all the money in the world.
He has his own personal armory.
He doesn't use that standard blacksmith that everyone else uses.
No. Fountain shop is for plebs.
Bottom lane, hello, Fnatic. They're looking for Alliance. Alliance aren't even in their base. They know it's not safe. And hang on, are they, okay, DJ is attempting. He's attempting the moon play. So they'll wait in the tree lines, but that one range creep, it'll come down, it reveals.
Joke's
it
on
reveals
you.
Alliance. I mean, it reveals Fnatic. They'll bring down the range Rex anyway, so Alliance, in a way, they dodged the fight. But they have everybody up.
They were able to plop a sentry or an observer ward down too, and it's not in the normal spot. It's much further south, and it will dodge the normal sentry ward. They do have the gem on the ET, so they won't have a free jump inside of the base available to them.
And that was the one advantage for EGM. He bought that gem just before the Roshan fight, so technically didn't lose that much money at the end of Roshan.
So Alliance have been in this position where they've been down a lot, but you know who's also been in this position is Mushi, where he's just like overflowing with gold. He's made of gold. He spits out gold. And what does he spend it on? He can't pull Ags. You can get BOT2s. It's marginal. He's already had to sell his treads, which is
maybe he could actually start
there.
buying wards for the supports. That would be a very nice thing.
That's what you do. Wards, tomes.
Yep.
So on and so forth.
Jump in. They found S4. Ohio with a perfect blink crush. S4. He doesn't have enough time to live. And now it's actually moving on to Bulldog. Amplification, Ohio was thinking about it. That's 73 seconds. Without S4, he does have buyback available. Once again, you really do not want to be expending your money when you're already pretty well broke. Lotus going to spend his cash, picks up a Maelstrom, probably praying he can reach an Aghanim Scepter sometime soon. But it's good deep push for now. Bulldog jumps forward, nice gust. Mushi down a half life, a defensive disruption again from DJ. Always there when he's got that blink dagger. Mushi, wow, she's still very, very low. They four-staff him away. Maybe this is also one of the reasons why he doesn't drop that Helm of the Dominator. He still needs that sustain in the fight.
Yeah, Satanic or Heart would be pretty good for... He could just BOT back and then refresh and then BOT back if they really wanted to fight, but there's no need in taking that risk. Actually, Mirana's down. I don't think it'd be the worst thing in the world for them to do that, but...
It's a good display, though, to show that Fnatic isn't really as tanky as you might expect. Like, when they get their jumps, when they get their pickoffs on Alliance, it works beautifully. But if Mushi takes that much damage from pretty much just the Drow Ranger primarily attacking him.
It normally won't happen like that, though. The Slaughter is carrying a lot of auras. He recently purchased the Vlads. He has an AC. So combine that with Warcry, and you're not really doing anything. You need the Mirana to deal damage. But yeah, it is a little threatening in case Fnatic aren't really exact with their high ground push.
Yeah, their positioning has to be good. You can't just leave one guy on the front line to do all the work.
You can't just A-click and take your hands off the keyboard. Oh, that's a Jimmy thing. Have you seen him? It's like, look guys, no hands.
Can you imagine that? He would have been that kid on the bike. A Bloodthorn up for mid one. So he's got a lot more solo pick-off potential, but he's right underneath an Observer and Sentry, which will not survive as DJ moves in with a gem. But Alliance at least get to see that Bloodthorn before the fight begins. There's some decent Dispel. They don't have that Dream like Quick Lotus Orb available. And it's coming from Tide. It's the Refresher Tide on the way. Bulldog just buys the Perseverance for now.
Still a long ways away.
Yeah, but this is Alliance, the team of patience. They're still only down one lane of racks. They're fine with that. With this lineup, if you can get an Aghanim Scepter as well onto the Drow Ranger, you'll have a lot of options as far as... nope, not going to miss.
They're really lacking items on the supports, though. Especially Dazzle. Like, you'd want, like, a Ghost Scepter at this point. Maybe Glimmer. Hopefully Axe at one point in the game. And then same with Elder Titan. He has Solar right now, but pretty much any item would be great for him.
A little bit concerned when Bulldog moves out this far. He got disrupted before. It's like he's trying to bait the attack from Fnatic. Let's still at least protect Loda, as well as S4 if he does get initiated on.
Yeah, maybe they can like force a lot of BKBs when they initiate on Tidehunter, and then he can buy back, TP back in with Ravage. That is a pretty good way for them to win the fight. But Fnatic have to know that. He's banked a lot of gold. Roshan respawning in 30. Fnatic, no creep inside the Roshan pit this time. They're probably sensing that it's up quite soon.
Oh, Bulldog, he jumps in, but at the same time, Mushi under the tier 3 towers. Mid one makes his play for Arcade. He'll find the kill, no buyback available. Loader pushing back Mushi. He's in deep under the tier 4 towers. Maybe they'll have the damage. Mushi dropping quickly. He'll BKB, but they get the kill. 3-4-3 also going to fall. It's the Storm Spirit who's already out. They find more kills. Yules it up. DJ trying to keep Alliance away with that purge, but EGM stomps, and Fnatic, they were so patient. They were waiting for the opportunity. But they go in deep and they lose 3. And what a time too, because Roshan is back up again. Alliance can move over and technically force the buybacks as Ohio scouts out the fact that Big Man is alive.
Alliance won TI3 off the back of a lot of 4-staff plays, and that was a very similar situation. They double 4-staffed the Drow Ranger, and Sven was like pretty close at a T4s.
Yeah, he almost hit Fountain at that rate.
Yeah.
S4 got over 2,000 gold just from the kills. He's now up to 6K on the Mirana.
I thought they were going to play it safe.
I think that's actually the most amount of money I've seen so far at TI for a killing spree. It was 1,640 gold for killing off Mushi underneath the tier 4.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. He has 6,000.
Oh, mid one trying to go for his kills. Well, he's already found one. Again, poor Arke is just the scratching post of Fnatic.
Well, that will not dissuade Alliance from taking down Big Bad Roshan. Solar Crest already upon him.
Ohio's in a good position for a 4-man crush if he wants it. He knows they're in there. In comes the jump, the crush, the silence will be there. Admiral Bulldog, he's already expended the Ravage before, so you've lost one. Loader can't really fight this. The Hurricane Pike puts himself on the hillside, however. He can't get back down again, so they'll have to TP back to base. And then mid one. Very close. That was a kill Alliance could not afford. But I guess now they realize Fnatic will have Roshan. And they'll back out. They did get the advantage of stealing the gem off Fnatic. A very small advantage at this point.
At least they didn't lose any cores there.
Yeah.
Tidehunter died in that big engagement inside the base and did have to buy back, so he won't have Refresher for this upcoming engagement. And all they really need to do is wait for them to go on to Mushi. Mushi just needs to hit towers. If they go on him, he just pops Warcry.
This courier. This is one perilous trip. The Observer Ward scouted out its movement. I'm fairly certain it's here for the point booster. Actually finishes a full E-Blade for Mirana. This courier has to get home.
Storm King, easily.
Yeah.
Jump it.
And 343 is also waiting for it. He'll move, he'll blink forward. So close. Now the Storm, jump in the courier. 4.7k worth of net worth.
So much for that Sven kill.
Yep, you'll have to wait 3 minutes before he can get that E-Blade. But that also means he does still have buyback. So it doesn't put that at any kind of peril. I was wondering if Loader was going to complete up the Agnum Scepter, if you put a point booster on that courier as well. Instead, I'm seeing a Crystallis purchased on Loader. Still has buyback, doesn't have the full axe, which would have been really nice with the Maelstrom combo, but he's going a Daedalus build on this Drow Ranger.
He's just trying to get any sort of items he can before this last fight. This might be like the last fight of the game, and you want every little bit of net worth that you have outside of buyback to be invested onto your hero. And net worth graphics is looking pretty bad, but Mushi is banking 8,500 gold.
Yeah. Have we even seen him use that Refresher Orb even once?
Nope.
It's sat in his stash. It's almost like he's just buying home bling. Bulldog, again on the front lines, getting tracked up. Mushi gonna God Strength hit the tower. Sorry, just Warcry to hit the tower. Fortification will also be burnt from Alliance. They're being pressured on the other lanes though. S4 needs to deal with this mid. The bottom lane, they're still with the mega creeps. So Alliance have to turn their attention down there every now and then, but they don't want to turn away from this top fight. Ravage has just come up for Admiral Bulldog. They still have buyback available for the Mirana as well as the Drosh. The damage is there. Bulldog, great blink away. Gets out of it, but will it be enough? The fight is split up. Ohio might be low. Mid one, he's going in deep. Under the tier 4 towers. Moonlight Shadow making it very difficult for Fnatic to find the target. The Ravage, it'll blow. The BKBs can't protect them. Mid one will drop as well. So low, but not dead. Has the Aegis Immortal. Now they'll trigger. Mushi gets far enough away for the Spirit. The arrow. Bulldog, he will smash him entwined with an anchor. EGM will even be protected. Alliance, they're holding this fight. Ohio is low. They force up down. Loader pushes himself into the fight. He wants to go against mid-1. S4's here to help him. They've got the damage, but mid-1's got the range. Jumping in closer. Yule's up from Mirana. Where's he go next? He goes in deeper. He goes for the Starfall. Mid-1's still alive, but not much longer with a stun onto S4. He'll die with the help of DJ. The double buybacks are available for Alliance. They knew this. They still have to hold the bottom tier 4 towers are being attacked. The refresher orb is now up for Bulldog. He's already triggered it, and he leaves it at base. He doesn't reveal it. So maybe now Fnatic, they could go in thinking there is no Ravage available. But it looks like Fnatic, they've been cautious throughout the day. They're going to be cautious again.
And Sven actually used his buyback during that fight and finally used his refresher, BOT'd back in, but he doesn't have buyback. That's probably what dissuaded him more than anything. Stormspeeder was a little bit low, but he has plenty of Bloodstone charges. And he's also making a lot of gold. 6,000 in Storm's inventory. What will be item number 6?
For a Storm Spirit,
Usually Scythe.
he can finally drop that gem. Yes, Scythe would be nice. I still want to see Loda finish up an item and finally see Mirana with that E-Blade. The courier is back alive. So you have to keep that in mind that S4 had all that money spent, but he didn't actually have the item on him. If there was an E-Blade in that fight, it would have been very, very different.
Yeah, Sven's dying very, very easily. I actually think he should keep the refresher on him so he can BKB twice. I mean, and Warcry type.
But what do you drop? You really want to get away with the, like, you can't drop. Yeah, that'll be good.
I think he needs to play it like a Lifestealer. Lifestealer, you siege your tower with your rage cooldown. I think he needs to do the same thing with Warcry and then just back out. They're having to blow way too many cooldowns to save him. Like, DJ almost got him out of the situation. Yep. He got 4-stepped out, and then he disrupted, and then he was able to blink after that, and he almost got the BOT out. But you don't want your Sven to be in that position where you actually have to save him.
Okay, how does DJ have this much money? He's now got a BKB on the Shadow Demon. Wow. It's coming on the Courier. This is, like, if you've got DJ in your fantasy team at the moment, congratulations. You're going to have crap tons of points. Even though the highest points right now does go the way of Mushi.
So out of the 10 heroes in the game, there is only one with buyback. And that is mid-1.
Everyone else expends their money. They know they need everything to fight. Alliance are very happy with this. If they can keep Fnatic out for another minute, they have double Ravage. The refresh orb is off cooldown in 57 seconds time.
I'm actually surprised Stormspeeder doesn't have more charges. I guess there haven't been that many kills in this game, but ideally you have 25 charges, maybe 26, and then you
he got the early charges, then had to commit suicide, then he got killed, and after that everything just dried up.
But like now Storm's in this like somewhat weird position in the fight, so if you die, you can be back up in, let's see, like 35, 40 seconds, but you want to fight there with your team instantly. You can potentially win the game if you buy back, but you could also potentially lose the game if you buy back BOT and your team's already dead. Well, not a great situation for him.
We've hit this point now. It's disrupting Sven illusions to attack a range racks down.
The spirit of Secret lives on.
I think this is also something Alliance have a lot of experience with in the past.
They're normally the ones doing it.
Yes, they are. It's the safety. They don't actually have easy ways to get rid of these illusions. It takes so much. This is when you actually wish you had that Agnum Scepter on Loda.
Well, time to start on another tower that will...
Wait, is Alliance really... I thought for a moment that actually there was a Fnatic line being drawn by mid-1 saying, can we loop around and go in through the mid?
The refresher's cooled down at this point, and Sven's been really squishy. If they can catch him in a double Ravage without his Warcry, and potentially like DJ doesn't BKB, then maybe, but that's a lot of contingencies.
Yeah, that's a lot of babies. And they also have no vision to do this fight with. Like, the Observers and Sentries on the top lane are very,
They have those as a reward right here,
Fnatic.
right outside their T3 on top. This one can potentially be a game-winning Observer ward if they can catch multiple heroes with that. And DJ, well, actually, who's carrying them? Stormspeeder hasn't really been close enough to de-ward that quite yet. They have a Sentry ward on the north side, but it's just outside of range of these ops. So they probably think they're in the clear in terms of not having vision. But it's daytime, so you're likely to play more carefully during the daytime. Yep. You expect the opponents to be able to see across the cliff. Nighttime, I think, is where Alliance can make a move, but that's still quite some time away.
It's still crazy to think that Alliance are keeping this at bay. They're almost 40,000 net worth behind, and they are still keeping Fnatic out. Most of that net worth, in fact, the difference is Sven's net worth. He's at 40 grand himself,
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
He has a lot of like marginal upgrades for items though. Like VOTs is like 4,500 gold that doesn't really give you any combat potency. And then he has a refresher in base, not really offering that much to him. Moon Shard, not super effective. It's good, but not in terms of effectiveness per gold spent.
And they really need more damage against those Savannah Illusions. They just keep coming, and bit by bit, that melee ranks, at least it can regen. But yeah, you have to commit double Starfall to it. It's still not enough damage. Loda doesn't have his full Daedalus up, so his damage also isn't that great.
Probably regrets not getting Axe now. Because he was in that position where like, okay, I might lose the game right now. I have 2,000 extra gold. I need to buy an item. And
Does he go back to it? Like, do you actually sell the Crystallis and then buy the full Aghanims? Oh, bottom lane, they actually find Ohio. The arrow misses from S4. Mid one, he's gone in. Again, Arcade. The punching bag of Fnatic gets brought down again.
Radiant's top barracks has
And
fallen.
they look for an opening. Well, okay, BKB's triggered. It's Mushi on the run. S4 right behind him. The Stormbolt will go to work as mid one pokes the tier 3 tower in the mid. And again, Ohio on the bottom lane. Death by 1,000 needles. Alliance just don't know how to start pulling them out.
at least Mushing's playing it a little bit safer. Like, he could have potentially gotten EB'd and Shivas and like double Starfall before the BKB, and then he'd be at like half HP, have to take some time to Satanic up, but now he's like preventing himself from getting in that critical HP territory.
And Alliance have to at some point come out here and try and fight this.
Yeah.
Like, if this continues the way it is, like, Fnatic will eventually take everything. They've already taken the melee rags on the top. It's only the mid that stands between Fnatic and Mega Creeps.
How do you protect Ake though? Ake just dies.
There is no way to protect him. Like, you actually just have to let him die. Force a fight when Fnatic goes split up a little bit more. Mid one now looks towards Admiral Bulldog. He's still giving respect. Admiral Bulldog does have that double Ravage up. Mushi, decent amount of damage. Bulldog jumps in. The first Ravage will trigger. They need to kill off Mushi. Defensive destruction from DJ. They'll do the work. Lotus being attacked. The Hurricane Pike can't keep mid one away for long enough. Where is the kill? It hasn't come. Refresh Orb is done by Tidehunter. Force staffing back in again. The poison almost killing Bulldog. Barely surviving with the refresher into a second grieve. Bulldog keeps himself up. But now they don't have double Ravage for 180 seconds.
I feel like Mushi could be doing so much more in these fights too.
Oh, Radiant's Curry died again.
2,900.
It had Lotus Mjolnir. It got killed as it entered in through that top lane.
Mushi like needed to BKB the Ravage, and Shadow Demon was able to do it. Your supporter can BKB it, and luckily he was able to get the disruption onto the Sven.
Oh, one way for 343 to stay alive. Give him an Aegis the Immortal if you want to. They're actually trying to decide who takes it. So mid one, he'll be the man to take the Aegis to the Immortal. As long as no Bloodstone's enough, but it means that Gem's just sitting on the deck. 343 will have to carry that.
Yeah, they could just pass Storm Spirit the cheese afterwards. Still no Scythe on him, but he does plenty of damage, enough to kill Ake near instantaneously. Dazzle has afforded a Ghost Scepter though, so maybe they can kill the Storm Spirit as he jumps in, because you don't want to use your BKB for a Dazzle kill, ideally. Yep. But they only have one Ravage left on Tidehunter. Second one won't be up for a couple of minutes.
I still can't believe Mushi is walking around with the S and Y with Refresh Orb in his stash. He's also a very long way away from the rest of his team. As mid one, just going to couple a little bit of a Starfall damage.
Like, they could easily buy another chicken at this point.
Yeah.
Another gem. You just stash as much.
Okay, he's buying Butterfly. He's going down and buying Butterfly. So that's what he replaces his S and Y with.
Butterfly's great. And also gives you some move speed if you still want that for whatever reason. But
it's nice when Loda also cannot buy a Monkey King bar in this game. One, because he can't get the money.
That's why you hold a Demon Edge. You never know when it's going to be Rapier, or MKB, or Daedalus. I'm just playing.
Someone give Loda some true hit. Well, they just... And again, now it's actually helping. 10 more illusions in.
Oh yeah, the illusions with the... Ooh.
Oh, mid one. He gets gusted. The stun, the jump in. Admiral Bulldog's also got this Ravage off the ET splitter. It's on a bad position, but Bulldog, he just pops. No buyback. They have no Ravage Hero Alliance. This could be it for Fnatic. The buyback will come out from S4. But you lose 2 heroes. Fnatic didn't really have to commit that heavily.
Oh my god, DJ with those demonic purges. Onto the Tidehunter, onto the Mirana.
And now he goes over to the Drow Ranger. keep going to work. You got all the vision thanks to Track. And Storm Spirit, another long jump in. They find Loda, the Keyblade, protecting him from S4, but Loda still so low. He can't Hurricane Pike out. The buyback will come in, but Alliance, they're being torn apart. There's almost nothing left. Fnatic, they have waited this game out. They have hoarded the money. And finally, they can bring down this Militrax, force it to make it a double crush from Ohio. That could seal the deal as Alliance will lose all three. And GG, game one will go the way of a very patient Fnatic.
The strategy seemed like something that Alliance thought would work, but it doesn't really seem to suit their style. I think in particular, I don't know, it was just like their whole entire team. They could never really search for fights in the first 20 minutes of the game. I think that Mushi played pretty well for the first 20 minutes, and then the later half of the game was dominated by Mid One and DJ. 3-4-3 also with them timely.